Hello, everybody. I hope you're having a good day or night, wherever you might be. Before I start, I'd like to apologize again, just like last time, for the extra noise you might be hearing in the background, people closing and opening doors. Um, we're going to be continuing with our Canada series. Today, I'm going to be talking about a new start, the fact that Canada is definitely a new start, mostly in terms of jobs. I will talk in the future about the workplace environment and the workplace culture, but this is generally about jobs and finding jobs. I'm not telling anybody how to find jobs, but just talking about the psychology of what happens to immigrants, or at least people like me, when they move to Canada and try and find jobs. What comes to mind now? As I said, Canada is definitely a new start. It's a clean slate, and that is good. The possibilities are literally endless. You can be whatever you want. Um, in many cases, it's just like America. There is a Canadian dream, I would say. You can go there and be anybody you want. You can have any job you want. If you're willing to pay the price and work for it and spend the years, there's no guarantee that you'll succeed in the path you take, just like any other place, but at least the road is open, and there's somewhat of a formula. You learn what certificates to get and what degrees to get and what courses to take and what jobs to start and what experiences to get and what contacts to make, and then you start inching your way towards your goal. You leave your country, whatever education or job you had, and then you get there and you realize that nobody knows you here. At least in my case, you can choose to change careers. You can choose to change paths, education, expertise. You can get a whole new persona, start being somebody else. And it really is a liberating feeling once you find your path. However, this is somewhat theoretical in many cases. Not in all cases, but in many cases. The very fact that Canada can be a new start and a clean slate, and the possibilities are endless, especially this part, is or can be the killer here, can be the negative factor. If you're not careful, the sheer possibilities or the number of possibilities of jobs and the type of person you can become can start confusing you. Sorry about that. That's very loud. You First of all, you get there and then you're like, can I continue doing what I used to do before I came here? Can I say continue being an English teacher and then or an engineer or a doctor or an academic or any other job that you had? You start looking into things and then you realize that yes, you can, but you need to get certificates and degrees and all the things I mentioned, and they all take time, and they all sort of need money, and they all need you to exert yourself and work on them. But you need to pay the bills, and you need to have a job, a day job, something that will pay the bills, anything, quickly, because your money is running out. And then as time goes by, you realize that in most cases, you're having trouble working towards that goal. Not for everybody, definitely not for everybody. I know many people who've been able to choose a path and take it and go to the very end and succeed. However, these prerequisites, let's say, become barriers in some instances. Sometimes a lot of people, because of the many possibilities of different careers paths they can take, they become confused because old dreams and old passions and interests come and find them. They come to life. They're like, oh, I wanted to become this and that in the past, and I'd forgotten. Now I can do that. And then it's good, but then again, it will add to the confusion. You will have to make a lot of job applications. Living in Canada, your resume is always updated basically, or you're working towards updating it, or you feel the need to update your resume. And you look for jobs and make applications, but the problem is that you don't have a Canadian job experience. It's like a catch-22. You apply for a job to get some kind of Canadian work experience, and then they ask you, do you have Canadian work experience? And you say no, and then it's not impossible, but it becomes more and more difficult to find jobs in areas that you like, so you have to keep going down the list of jobs that you would not necessarily have gotten into. So the system sort of makes you pay your dues. You have to go down and start from scratch. Not for everybody, definitely, but for many people. At least when I was applying for immigration like 10 years ago, the immigration system, so to speak, doesn't really care about the equivalency of your degrees. If you got a PhD or a master's or a bachelor's, it's a PhD or a master's or bachelor's. Or if you got an experience in a certain field, it's experience. But then once you get in, you realize that the requirements of employers or the Ministry of Higher Education is quite different from what the immigration officials wanted from you. So you may have a certain degree and you may think, oh, I have a PhD in this, but once you get in the country and you start looking for jobs, that PhD may not necessarily be a PhD. It will take time for you to get an equivalency, and then you realize, oh, my master's was actually a bachelor's. So all of this takes time and energy and money, and you do go through jobs and you change jobs and you apply for the positions you want. And at times, one of the things that does bring about actual depression for immigrants, other than the weather, is this feeling of being ignored by the system. Not that they always have the right to feel that way, but many people will feel that way. Some people will say, you know, stop crying about it, work hard and you'll get there. Stop feeling entitled. You gotta pay your dues like everybody else. But this doesn't really, even knowing this doesn't stop you from that kind of depression or feeling of being ignored or feeling of worthlessness if you dwell on it too much. And if you're not careful, it can get you down. And there are a lot of people who have not been careful, and it has gotten them down. It has had its effects on me personally, in my private life and in my work life. So like I said, I really wanted to keep this short, but it doesn't really happen that easily. So to summarize, Canada is a new slate, is a new beginning. It will welcome you with open arms and give you possibilities of becoming anything you want, but it will take time. You will have to work towards it. Sometimes you may not get there, and the multitude and the myriad of possibilities are good, but they will confuse you if you're not careful. You gotta edit yourself. You gotta edit your wants and needs and dreams, and you gotta go towards a certain end that is more logical. Sorry about that, my phone rang. I'll be careful next time. All right, have a good day, and I will see you next time.